I swear, if that smug bastard had said one more word, I might have given him the kind of dental work insurance doesn't cover. We were at dinner, a dinner I didn't even want. My wife, Ashley, had asked me to meet her for a serious talk. That phrase usually means counseling, compromise, maybe a chance to patch things up. Instead, it was an ambush. Picture this. Ashley sitting across from me, smiling like the Cheshire Cat, with Chase Donovan, her so-called colleague, already seated at the table. Chase, wearing a black shirt 2 sizes too small, smirking like he was auditioning for a cologne commercial. Ashley waved me over, all sugar. Logan, this is Chase. You've heard me mention him from work. Yeah, I'd heard. Too often. The mentor, the inspiration, the guy who just gets her. I sat down, fists tightening under the table. Then Chase leaned in with the confidence of a man who thought he'd already won. I'll make this simple, he said smoothly. You've got 2 options. Leave quietly, or face me like a man. Ashley didn't flinch. She actually smiled. Now, most men in my position might have lost it right there. But I didn't rage. Didn't scream. I just smiled back and said, "You want your teeth whole or in pieces?" That shut him up for a beat. But here's the thing. Ashley wasn't shocked. She wasn't embarrassed. She looked satisfied. Like this was exactly the reaction she was hoping for. And that's when I realized something. This wasn't the beginning of the affair. This was the final act. She'd been playing me for months, maybe years, and tonight, she wanted front row seats to my downfall. Only, she didn't know one thing. I don't lose quietly. When I got home that night, my knuckles were still raw, my shirt still streaked with wine and blood, and my mind was a hornet's nest. The house smelled different, like someone had rearranged the air itself. Her perfume lingered in the hall, but under it was another scent. Muskier, arrogant, not mine. I walked into the bedroom. The bed was perfectly made, corners tucked tight like a hotel room. Ashley had never once made a bed like that in her life. That was the first red flag I didn't ignore. I sat at the edge, hands still trembling, and replayed the scene over and over. Chase's smug grin. Ashley's satisfied little smirk. Her silence when I was dragged out by security. My phone buzzed on the nightstand. A message from her. You didn't have to do that. You embarrassed yourself. Not, are you okay? Not, let's talk. Just blame, cold and clinical. That's when the switch flipped. No more denial. No more waiting for her to choose me. I started searching. Not because I suspected anymore. No, because I needed the truth in my hands. Something tangible. Something undeniable. First stop, the closet. On her shoe rack sat a pair of heels I'd never seen. Red, expensive. She hadn't worn heels for me in months. Next, her vanity. Her tablet was sitting there, screen lit. No password. She always thought I trusted her too much for that. She was wrong. The first photo I opened made my chest cave in. Ashley, barely dressed, in a hotel room I didn't recognize. Date stamped last weekend. Another swipe. Chase, in the background, shirtless, brushing his teeth. I kept swiping. Selfies. Videos. Messages. His deep voice calling her my little secret. Her giggling like a teenager. One message where she wrote, "He still thinks we're just going through a rough patch. Poor baby. Poor baby." That's what she called me while she was sneaking off with him. I put the tablet down slowly. My hand stopped shaking. My breathing steadied. Funny thing about betrayal, it doesn't always break you. Sometimes it clarifies you. Ashley thought she had me cornered. What she didn't know was, I had already started preparing months ago. Quietly, patiently, like a man who knows storms always come. He just doesn't know the date. And now, the date had arrived. The next morning, Ashley strolled into the kitchen like nothing had happened. Hair tied up, sipping her coffee, scrolling through her phone. She didn't even look at me. I sat at the dining table, the tablet open in front of me, her messages to Chase glowing like neon. She finally looked up. "What?" she asked flatly, like I was in her way. I didn't answer, just slid the tablet across the table. Open on the photo, her, in lingerie, Chase's toothbrush in the background. Her fingers froze mid-scroll. She stared at the screen for a long moment. Then her face twisted, not with shame, not with regret, but with irritation. "Why were you snooping through my stuff?" That's what she said. Not, "I'm sorry." Not, "It's not what it looks like." Just deflection. I leaned forward, calm as a surgeon. "You lied to me. You humiliated me. You brought him into our lives and treated me like I was disposable. And now you want to play the victim?" She scoffed, rolling her eyes. "Oh, please. Don't be so dramatic. You were boring, Logan. Predictable. Chase makes me feel alive. You should thank me for finally being honest. I actually laughed. A short, sharp sound that even startled me. Honest. You set me up in a restaurant like some reality TV stunt. That wasn't honesty, Ashley. That was cruelty. She shrugged, sipping her coffee like we were arguing about groceries. You'll get over it. Men always do. You're not going anywhere. I smiled then. A small, cold smile she didn't recognize. That's where you're wrong. See, Ashley, I don't do second chances. I do evidence. Her face flickered for the first time. A hint of doubt. She wasn't used to me being 2 steps ahead. She had no idea that everything she thought she'd hidden, I'd already archived, printed, encrypted. I stood up, calmly placed my cup in the sink, and walked out of the kitchen. Behind me, I heard her mutter, "You're bluffing." And maybe that's what she wanted to believe. But the truth? I wasn't bluffing. I was building. If there's one thing Ashley never understood about me, it was this. Silence isn't surrender. It's strategy. She thought my calm was weakness, that my patience meant indifference. But men like me, we don't flail, we don't scream, and we sure don't beg. We collect. We measure. And when the moment comes, we dismantle things with the precision of an architect pulling out a single supporting beam. The whole house collapses, and nobody even sees your hand move. That night, after our little conversation in the kitchen, I went to my office. Ashley thought the office was where I paid bills, maybe tinkered with old work projects. She never once considered it a war room. I shut the door, sat at the desk, and opened the bottom drawer. Out came the oak box I'd built years ago, originally meant to hold cufflinks. Instead, it held leverage. Inside, a USB drive labeled June Justice. Printed emails, screenshots, receipts, bank transfers. A timeline of deceit so thorough it looked like a prosecutor's exhibit binder. I'd been gathering for months, ever since I caught the first whiff of her perfume mixed with lies. Funny how she thought she was clever. Her training seminars that just happened to coincide with Chase's conference trips. Her gym sessions that mysteriously lasted 4 hours. The sudden obsession with phone privacy. None of it escaped me. I didn't accuse her then, not because I didn't care, but because I was already playing a longer game. Ashley believed in impulse. I believed in structure. And in games like this, structure wins. I clicked open the file on my laptop. Emails first. Her realtor friend, Celeste, had CC'd her on weekend networking retreats that lined up perfectly with Chase's travel calendar. Credit card charges at restaurants I'd never been invited to. A hotel invoice with Chase's name down as an additional guest. She never even bothered to hide it, assuming I wouldn't notice. Then came the texts. I had synced her phone to the family iPad months earlier under the guise of streaming Netflix in the guest room. She never noticed. Most cheaters don't. They think technology is complicated. To her, it was just wires and passwords. To me, it was leverage. Her texts to Chase were a mix of teenage giddiness and cruelty. He's nice but dull. A placeholder. My life started late. Placeholder. That was me. 20 years of marriage, and I was reduced to a bookmark in her story until the real man arrived. I should have been angry. Maybe I was a little, but mostly, I was amused. Because placeholders, when they move, take entire chapters with them. I started categorizing everything. Emails in one folder. Screenshots in another. Receipts in chronological order. Betrayal isn't just about proof, it's about narrative. If you want to dismantle someone's world, you don't just throw evidence at them. You build a story they can't escape from. One step at a time. Halfway through organizing, I leaned back and laughed. The absurdity hit me. Ashley thought she was a mastermind. She pictured herself as some femme fatale, juggling lies with grace. In reality, she was sloppy, predictable. She left fingerprints everywhere. And that's when I decided, this wouldn't just be about divorce. No, divorce was too clean, too ordinary. Ashley needed a lesson in architecture. She needed to watch her carefully decorated little life collapse around her while she stood in the rubble, finally realizing who had been holding it up all along. The next morning, she tested me again. She floated into the kitchen in her yoga pants, and that smug little half-smile she wore whenever she thought she was pulling one over me. She grabbed her coffee mug, humming like the world was hers to toy with. "Morning," she said lightly. "Sleep okay?" I buttered toast, calm, collected. Like a baby. She sat down across from me, scrolling her phone, probably texting Chase under the table. Then, as if on cue, she smirked. You know, Logan, maybe we just need some space. A little break. Nothing official yet. I didn't even look up. Space? From what? Her smirk widened. From each other. Don't act like you haven't noticed we're stuck. Chase thinks. I cut her off. Chase thinks a lot of things. Most of them wrong. That caught her off guard. She blinked, then laughed nervously. You're impossible. Always so stubborn. I smiled, finally meeting her eyes. No, Ashley. I'm consistent. There's a difference. She huffed, rolled her eyes, and went back to her phone. And that was fine by me. Let her think she was winning. People like Ashley only feel powerful when they think you're beneath them. The truth was, I'd already started pulling the beams from under her roof. That afternoon, I made my first call. Marcus, my lawyer. The man was a shark in a suit, the kind of guy who could smell blood in a prenup before anyone else noticed the ink was dry. Marcus, I said calmly, we're greenlighting Plan B. He didn't ask questions. Didn't need to. He drafted Plan B 6 months ago when I first suspected. All he said was, understood. We'll move fast. Quietly. You'll be ahead of her before she realizes what's happening. Exactly what I wanted. Next, I made copies of everything. One flash drive in my office, one in a safe deposit box, one in the cloud under a fake account she'd never think to check. If Ashley thought she could twist the narrative, she'd find herself boxed in by her own lies. But this wasn't just about paperwork. Revenge, real revenge, isn't only legal. It's psychological. So that evening, I played my role perfectly. I kissed her on the head when she walked past. I poured her a glass of wine. I even asked about her day with genuine curiosity in my voice. She thought she'd won again. She thought she'd tamed the storm. And all the while, I was smiling, because storms don't announce themselves until they're already overhead. Later that night, as she slept beside me, her phone buzzed. A message from Chase lit up the screen. Miss you already. Tomorrow? I looked at her, face slack in the glow of the phone, hair sprawled across the pillow. For a second, I almost pitied her. She had no idea the ground she stood on was already hollow. But pity doesn't suit me. Precision does. I turned the phone face down, closed my eyes, and slept soundly. Because the beams were already gone. And when she finally noticed the walls collapsing around her, I'd be standing at the edge, calm, collected, one step ahead. Just like always, the trick to revenge isn't rage. Rage is loud, messy, and easy to trace. The trick is patience. The kind of patience that makes people forget you're even in the game until your hand tips the first domino. And my first domino was named Chase Donovan. Ashley thought he was her golden ticket, her escape hatch, her midlife upgrade. Truth was, Chase was nothing more than a protein shake junkie with a LinkedIn profile. He had biceps, sure, and the smirk of a man who'd never been punched until I helped him experience that particular rite of passage. But underneath the tight shirts and fake tan, he was just another fragile ego waiting to be cracked. I didn't need to fight him again. I needed to make him fight her. It started with an email. Not from me, of course. I'd learned long ago that the best plays come wrapped in someone else's handwriting. From my burner account, I crafted a short, anonymous message with attachments, a few carefully selected screenshots of Ashley's texts. Not the sweet ones. The cruel ones. He's boring. A placeholder. You're the only thing keeping me sane. Can't believe he still buys it when I say I'm at the gym. Poor baby. Attached. Photos of her with Chase, yes, but also one with another man, years old, cropped to look recent. The subject line? She's playing you too. I knew Chase. A man like him doesn't love a woman. He loves the reflection of himself he sees in her eyes. And once that reflection cracks, he turns on her. Fast. 2 days later, Ashley stormed into the kitchen, phone clutched in her hand like it had personally betrayed her. Did you talk to Chase? She demanded. I raised an eyebrow, calmly spreading jam on my toast. Why would I talk to Chase? Her nostrils flared. He got some email. With pictures. And texts. Stuff that makes it look like I don't even. Do you? I asked casually. Her mouth snapped shut. For the first time in weeks, she looked uncertain. Vulnerable. I sipped my coffee and let the silence hang heavy between us. She wanted me to rage, to interrogate her, to prove I was insecure. But I didn't bite. I just gave her the smallest smile and said, sounds like Chase has trust issues. Then I stood, rinsed my plate, and walked out, leaving her simmering in confusion. The first domino had tipped. That evening, I made my second move, work. See, Ashley didn't just cheat emotionally, she cheated financially. Joint accounts became personal slush funds. Business expenses became spa days. And every time she swiped that card, I saw the charge. I never mentioned it, not once. Instead, I logged each one. Dates, times, vendors. And now it was time for my accountant, Paul, to put them to good use. Paul, I said over the phone, I need everything we talked about finalized. The transfers, the account freezes, the education trust adjustments, everything. And expedite it. He hesitated. That will cut her off entirely. Yes, I said simply. That's the point. By Monday morning, Ashley's card declined at her favorite boutique. By Tuesday, her gym membership was frozen. By Wednesday, her business lunches suddenly had to be paid out of pocket. And through it all, I didn't say a word. I just watched her scramble, like someone tugging on purse strings that weren't there anymore. The beauty of quiet revenge is that people incriminate themselves. On Thursday, I came home to find her pacing the living room, phone glued to her ear. She didn't even notice me walk in. Marcus, I don't understand. The joint account. Yes, but he can't just. No, he hasn't said anything. He's acting like everything's fine. That's what's so creepy about it. She spun, finally spotting me standing in the doorway. Her face went pale. I'll call you back, she muttered into the phone, hanging up. Problems? I asked, setting my briefcase down. She forced a smile. Oh, just some mix-up at the bank. Oh, I nodded. Happens all the time. Her eyes narrowed. She was starting to realize this wasn't chaos. It was choreography. Friday was when Chase imploded. Ashley's phone buzzed nonstop that afternoon. Angry texts, accusations, curses. I didn't read them directly, but she wasn't exactly subtle about slamming her phone on the counter and muttering under her breath. By evening, she was in tears, shouting into the phone in the backyard. I don't know where those pictures came from. Of course I love you. He means nothing to me. You're my real. Don't you dare hang up on me, Chase. I almost felt bad for her. Almost. But pity is wasted on people who mistake cruelty for strength. That night, she cornered me. You're doing this, aren't you? She hissed, eyes wild. You're sabotaging me. You're trying to make me look crazy. I looked at her calmly, my voice steady. Ashley, you don't need my help to look crazy. She slapped the counter, furious. You think you're so clever. You think you're going to come out of this the hero. But you're nothing without me. I leaned in, close enough for her to see the calm in my eyes. Then you should have thought twice before making me your villain. Her mouth opened, but no words came out. And for the first time in a long time, I saw it, fear. The second domino had tipped. But I wasn't done. Because revenge isn't just about taking away what someone has. It's about taking away what they believe they'll always have. Security, reputation, control. And Ashley's greatest weakness wasn't Chase. It wasn't even money. It was her image. The curated little world she built on Instagram. The Range Rover selfies. The wineglass smiles. The real estate boss babe persona she paraded for likes. So while she fought with Chase and scrambled to pay for Pilates, I set my sights on that fragile empire of pixels. I had photos, screenshots, dates, receipts, all of it just waiting to be arranged in a neat little package. And when the time came, the whole world would see Ashley exactly as she was. Not a queen, not a victim, just a fraud. That weekend, I sat on the porch with a glass of bourbon, listening to the cicadas hum in the humid night air. From inside, I could hear Ashley crying on the phone again, pleading with Chase, bargaining, unraveling. I didn't feel triumph. Not yet. What I felt was the steady, quiet rhythm of inevitability. Like a train rolling down the tracks. The dominoes were falling. And Ashley, for the first time in her life, couldn't stop them. People like Ashley live online more than they live in their own houses. She thought real life was just the backdrop for her Instagram feed. Beige Range Rover, glass of Cabernet, caption about grind never stops briefcase sparkles. Meanwhile, the mortgage got paid because I showed up every day. I didn't mind at first. If she needed validation from strangers to get through the week, fine. But the moment she weaponized her image, parading me as the dull placeholder while flaunting Chase as the real thing, I knew exactly where to hit her hardest. Not her heart, not her wallet, her followers. The first step was subtle. A few anonymous comments under her posts. Nothing cruel, nothing obvious. Just questions. Wait, Weren't you supposed to be at a seminar that weekend? Didn't see your husband in Dallas. Wasn't he invited? Small cracks in the perfect paint job. I knew she'd delete them, of course. But that was the point. Each time she deleted one, she'd panic a little more. Panic is fertilizer for paranoia. The second step was strategic. I created a burner account. Female name. Profile pic of a smiling realtor pulled from Google. From that account, I started messaging Ashley's colleagues, her acquaintances, even her book club friends. Hey, saw this and thought you should know. Attached, screenshots. Carefully curated. Enough to raise eyebrows, but not enough to prove who sent them. By Monday, whispers had started. Ashley walked into the kitchen that morning, hair unbrushed, face pale, phone clutched like it was leaking poison. They're talking about me, she hissed. Who? I asked, calmly buttering toast. Everyone. My coworkers. The group chat. Even my sister messaged me, asking if it's true. Asking if I'm seeing someone. Are you? I asked, voice flat. She slammed her mug down. That's not the point. Someone's trying to destroy me. I met her eyes, steady as stone. Ashley, people usually destroy themselves. Someone just holds up a mirror. She stared at me, jaw trembling, but no words came. She knew. Deep down, she knew. By Wednesday, the cracks widened. One of her clients canceled a showing. Another postponed indefinitely. She claimed it was market fluctuations, but I saw her hands shaking when she hung up the phone. That evening, I overheard her on a call with Chase. Her voice was shrill, panicked. You have to back me up. People are saying things, and you're just, what? Ghosting me? Oh my God. Chase, do you even care? A pause. Then a scream. Don't you dare hang up on me. The line went dead. She threw her phone across the couch. I walked in slowly, holding a glass of bourbon. Everything all right? She glared at me with bloodshot eyes. You're loving this, aren't you? I sipped. Ashley, you give me too much credit. You're doing all the work. She laughed bitterly. You think you're so smart. But when this all blows over, I'll still have my career, my friends, my. You're what? I cut in smoothly. Your boyfriend, who just hung up on you? Your colleagues who are already whispering? Your clients who don't want to be associated with scandal? Her lips quivered. She opened her mouth, closed it, then stormed upstairs without another word. Domino 3. Down. But I wasn't finished. The final blow had to be public and irreversible. So on Friday night, while Ashley poured herself a too large glass of wine and doom-scrolled Instagram in the living room, I uploaded the file. Not to her account. No, that would be too obvious. I sent it to a local gossip page, the kind that thrives on scandal in our city. Subject line: the real story behind Realtor of the Year nominee. Inside the file, a neatly organized folder of screenshots, photos, receipts. Dates and times aligned perfectly. Captions circled. Hotel receipts highlighted. Enough proof to turn her curated empire into rubble. By Saturday morning, the post had gone live. Ashley's phone didn't stop buzzing for hours. Her followers turned on her faster than wolves. So disappointed in you. All this time pretending to be family goals. Guess the market isn't the only thing crashing. When I walked into the kitchen, she was sitting at the table, mascara streaking her cheeks, phone face down on the counter. They're ruining me, she whispered. I poured myself coffee. You mean you ruined you? Her head snapped up. Why aren't you helping me? I tilted my head, feigning confusion. Help you what? Lie better? Smile for the camera while you bury me? No, Ashley. My job was never to hold up your mask. My job was to build the house you pretended to own. She slammed her hand on the table. You're cruel. I smiled. Cruel? No. Cruel would have been outing you the first time I found proof. Cruel would have been walking into that restaurant with screenshots and a lawyer. What I'm doing now. This is called balance. She sat there, broken and shaking, but still trying to glare at me like she had any power left. You'll regret this, she spat. I leaned forward, voice calm, almost gentle. Ashley, regret is for people who didn't see it coming. I've been watching this train for months. I laid the tracks myself. That night, I sat in the office, sipping bourbon while Ashley cried upstairs. The oak box sat on my desk, the folder nearly empty now. Most of its contents had already been deployed. But one final piece remained. The ace in the hole. The card she'd never expect me to play. Because if there's one thing I've learned, it's this. Revenge isn't about explosions. It's about collapse. And Ashley had no idea the floor beneath her was still sinking. She thought the gossip, the whispers, the canceled clients. That was the bottom. But she hadn't even seen the basement yet. The next morning, she emerged from the bedroom, hollow-eyed, clutching her coffee like a lifeline. She looked at me, voice trembling. "Logan, maybe we can fix this. Maybe if we take a trip, lay low for a while." I studied her. For a moment, I almost admired the desperation. She still thought there was a lifeline, that I might reach out and grab her hand. I smiled, steady and cold. "Ashley, you don't need a trip. You need a parachute." She frowned. "What are you talking about?" I leaned back in my chair, savoring the moment. "Because when I pull the last piece, I tap the oak box lightly. You're going to wish falling was the worst of it." Her face went white. And in that moment, I knew she finally understood. I wasn't her husband anymore. I was the architect of her collapse. Monday morning, Marcus called. His voice was sharp, clinical. "Everything's filed. She'll be served by Friday." I nodded into the receiver. "And the assets?" "Protected. She'll walk away with nothing she didn't earn, and that's not much. You'll keep the house, retirement, business holdings. She'll fight it, but we've got the receipts. All of them. Receipts. Proof. Evidence. The very things Ashley never thought I paid attention to." That evening, I came home to find her in the kitchen, pale and jittery. She waved a letter at me. "The bank froze my card again. Do you know anything about this?" I poured myself a drink, calm as ever. "Ashley, I know everything about it." She dropped into a chair, deflated. For the first time, I didn't see the woman who strutted into rooms like she owned them. I saw a gambler out of chips. "You won't win," she whispered. "I'll fight you in court." I leaned close, voice low and steady. "Ashley, you can't fight someone who's already 10 steps ahead. You'll swing at shadows until you collapse." And the look in her eyes told me she finally believed me. By Thursday, the gossip had spread beyond Instagram. Her colleagues stopped calling. Friends ghosted her group chats. Even her own sister left a comment on one of the gossip posts. Sad but true. I always knew she wasn't what she seemed. Ashley tried damage control, deleted posts, uploaded teary videos about mental health and haters. But the internet doesn't forgive hypocrisy, and the comments doubled down. "You're only sorry you got caught. Where's your husband through all this?" Oh, right. The part that broke her? The real estate board revoked her nomination for Realtor of the Year. When she read the email, she screamed so loud the neighbors heard. I sat in my office, sipping coffee, listening like it was a symphony. Later, she stormed in, eyes wild. "You did this to me." I looked up calmly. "No, Ashley. You did it to yourself. I just turned up the volume so everyone could hear." She collapsed onto the floor, sobbing. I didn't move to help. Not because I wanted her pain, but because I wanted her to sit in it. To know that everything she'd built was built on sand. The oak box had one last piece inside. Her texts weren't just cruel to me. They were cruel to Chase too. And to a third man, someone from years ago. She thought she'd deleted those. She hadn't. Friday evening, I sent one final email. Not to gossip sites. Not to friends. To Chase. Subject line: "She called you a placeholder too." Attached, the texts. Her mocking him to her friend. Her calling him just a fling before the next upgrade. By Saturday morning, he was gone. Blocked her number. Unfollowed her online. Moved on like she was a stain he couldn't scrub fast enough. Ashley's face when she realized, when she screamed his name into voicemail after voicemail, wasn't triumph for me. It was closure. Proof that every man she tried to replace me with would eventually see through her too. I didn't need to fight Chase. I needed him to see her for who she was. You probably think I left her. That I kicked her out, changed the locks, and toasted my freedom. But no, that would have been predictable. Instead, I stayed. Quiet. Calm. One step ahead, like always. I let the divorce crawl forward at a snail's pace. Each paper another reminder she wasn't in control. I lived in the same house, sat at the same table, and smiled politely across the same dinners, until the silence broke her more than rage ever could. And then, when she was hollow, reputation shredded, money gone, boyfriend vanished, I gave her the one thing she never gave me: choice. I slid the final papers across the table one Sunday morning. "Ashley," I said softly, "sign them, and you can leave with your name. Fight them, and you'll leave with nothing." She stared at me, eyes red, fingers trembling. For once, she didn't smirk, didn't gloat, didn't win. She signed, and that was it. No screaming, no scene, just the quiet sound of a pen scratching across paper. the sound of a life collapsing. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't strike a blow. I didn't even celebrate. Because the cruelest revenge isn't fire. It's ice. It's silence. Precision. The moment your enemy realizes they lost long before the game even started. Ashley wanted me to be the placeholder. Instead, I became the architect of her ending. And the best part? She never saw it coming.